Hello and welcome to the Dharma.life podcast. In this episode, we are talking about why this is our time to heal. By the end of this episode, you will have an insight into what work you should be doing right now to enable you to ascend with ease into the fifth dimension and enjoy your journey. My name is Aloise.life. I'm a transformational teacher and coach, and I am here to help you create your 5D Dharmic life in alignment with your soul. I'm the creator of the Dharma Life podcast, the creator of the Dharma Life Academy, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I interview incredible 5D thought leaders who are essentially shifting and changing the planet. So, before we get into this week's episode, I just want to say well done. Yes, well done. The last 6 months have been, oh my goodness, talk about absolutely mind-bending and paradigm shifting. 2020 has been absolutely incredible. I was listening to a podcast that Bashar did quite a while ago, and he was saying how 2020 will be a year for us to remember. And in 6 months, we have had so many things happen. We've had, you remember the bushfires, obviously in Australia, which were epic. We've had locusts in Africa. We've obviously had COVID for the last couple of months. Now we've had the riots. What an epic 2020. Now, I wanted to say well done, because if you're listening to this podcast, you are on the correct path. You are doing the work. You are actively looking and watching things which will enable you to make your journey smoother. So just a quick caveat, really. One of the things that we're being initiated into is our sovereignty. We are in the age of Leo Aquarius, which is all about personal sovereignty, us remembering who we are and how powerful we are and awakening to our powers. And so one of the things that we'll have to really, really get good at is discernment. There's going to be so much out there, so much information. And the fact that you are listening to this is fantastic. Well done. And one of the other things I really want to make you aware of, is really important that you start to get discerning around the things that you are listening to. Not everything will resonate with you. Not everything is true. There's lots of fake information out there. You will have known this and discovered this over the course of the last 6 months. So this is about developing personal power, personal sovereignty, personal discernment. We are being initiated into the higher realms. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, why healing is our key into the higher realms. But I just wanted to say well done, because it has been a roller coaster of the 6 months. And, you know, we must remember that the light has already won. You know, we are on this golden age timeline. If you follow this podcast, you will stay on the golden age timeline. You will stay in the higher timeline. Everybody I communicate with, everything I do and talk about is all about ascending to 5D, being on this golden age timeline and essentially welcoming in the golden age. Please remember that the light has already won, and we just are going through this breakdown to breakthrough process. We talked about this in the last episode, how humanity will have to break down to break through. And essentially, we are birthing the new paradigm, but before we can birth the new paradigm, we have to break down the old structures. So congratulations, well done. I know it's been an epic 6 months, but I really wanted to say you're doing brilliantly. We're all doing brilliantly. And if you're following this podcast, you will get the information that you need to make sure that you enjoy the journey and have fun. There's never been a better time to manifest and create your own heaven and earth. And I'm going to do another video about that, a separate occasion, about how, you know, it's so important right now we have a compelling vision for our life, because actually, as we go into 5D, things will manifest a lot quicker and things will come into our existence much, much faster. So let's talk about what we want to talk about this week, which is time to heal. So I wanted to share some personal insights into what I've been doing to see if this might resonate with you. Again, you know, take what works, leave anything that doesn't work, but this is an amazing time for us to be healing. We are being initiated into this higher realm. And the more work we can do to become whole, the more enjoyable our journey will be, and the more we will awaken to our powers. So, in the last few episodes, we have discussed all sorts of things. I interviewed Christine Elvig, and that was all about how oils can help your ascension journey. If you haven't listened to that, I really recommend you doing so. I have just found essential oils to be such a beautiful comfort on my journey for whatever it is that I'm dealing with in the moment. Or I could be working on my shadow, I could be working on my body stuff. Essential oils are such a great journey. So if you haven't already, please go and listen to that podcast. We've also talked about how it's so essential to be in alignment, in energetic alignment, and how with the planet shifting, with the frequencies of the planet rising, with Mother Earth ascending, things that are out of alignment are coming up for healing. So this is your time to heal your stuff, heal any past emotions, any past blockages, get out of a relationship if you're not in the right relationship, get out of that job if you're not in the right job. Remember, get yourself into energetic alignment. And I think I gave you the details of the 5D life audit that you can go through, and that will tell you exactly where you need to focus your energy and attention. We've also spoken about shadow work and how the collective shadow is coming up for integration and healing on the planet at the moment. So if the collective shadow is coming up for healing, then your shadow will be coming up for healing. If you haven't listened to that episode, please go and listen to that episode. Really, really important stuff. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is this breakdown to breakthrough stuff. We talked about this in the last episode, but it is just worth mentioning again. It's going to be a bumpy few years. 2020 to 2024, we are going to see these old paradigms break down. So really important just to say in this 5D vision, stay in this 5D way of looking at things, that actually this is part of the process. Trust the process, it's part of the process. We're breaking down, we're breaking through. Now, this will help you stay in the higher vibrations, and we can only see what we are the vibration of. I'll say that again. We can only see what we are the vibration of. So if we are trusting the process, if we are trusting that everything that's happening is for our highest and best good, we will see why those things are happening. If we go into the 3D, if we go into polarity, if we go into separation, we will not spot why everything is happening. So just a really important reminder. So the work I've been doing on healing myself, I'm kind of looking at 3 areas. I'm looking at mind, body, and spirit. So in and around the mind, the last weekend, I've been looking at all sorts of things. I've been kind of looking at like my raw edges, my thought patterns, my unconscious thought patterns. I've been doing a lot of healing work, using those kind of motivational tapes that play to you in your mind. Such a simple thing to do while you're asleep, but you can really work on your subconscious and your unconscious layers. And also I've been doing really deep healing meditation work. My husband and I went into a silent retreat last weekend, a Vipassana silent retreat. He usually does them and he usually goes away. He's done 7 of these now. I'd never done one. I didn't really fancy not talking, if I'm honest. But I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. We set ourselves up in our house. We essentially had the meditation teacher on the computer, and he did the healing meditations, and he took us into a very deep healing state where we were able to be in this deep healing state, and any old emotions that effectively were triggering us, that gave us energetic reactions, negative energetic reactions, were coming up for healing, and we were able to feel them on the way out and then let them go. And it was a really wonderful process. I went through, for some reason, I had this one meditation where every single relationship I'd ever been in came up, and I viewed it and saw it and felt anything that I hadn't felt and any pain that I hadn't felt. Now, all of this work with this meditation retreat was helping heal my mind and heal my subconscious. So something to think about. Also, we're looking at body. So when I say body, I have been looking at my body issues. I've been using the oils to heal those. I've also been looking at what I can do to up-level my vibration. So And this is obviously really, what's the word, personal to me, but it may or may not resonate with you. Like, I don't drink alcohol, or haven't drunk for over about a year and a half. Had a tumultuous journey with alcohol in my kind of 20s, very much used alcohol as a crutch. And then when my husband and I got together, we both were drinkers and we both were not very good with it. So we decided that to let it go. And it's actually one of the best things that I've ever done. So, been cleaning up my diet. Now, this has happened quite naturally. Given up alcohol sort of a year and a half ago, given up meat over a year and a half ago as well. That all happened quite naturally. We're not vegan, but we are a pescatarian is what I would say. I don't feel the call to give up fish or cheese yet. I'm just listening to myself and my body. But I'd love to know with you guys if you are plant-based or what your body is telling you, because this is a very personal journey and each of us are very different. But again, just giving you some ideas. I've also given up sugar. That was a big one for me. Again, my addictive nature and addictive personality, if I ate sugar, I would eat sugar. So I've given up sugar and I feel much, much better for it. Again, it's that addiction cycle that sugar kept me in. And finally, the most recent thing that I've ticked off my list is coffee. I was really reluctant to give up coffee because it was like a little friend and I hadn't got many friends left, like addictive friends. I'd slowly but surely weeded out, alcohol and my vices. But I've been doing a lot of work on psychic development, and my teacher basically said your coffee blocks your nadi. Now, your nadi are your energy channels between your chakras. So in an ideal world, obviously, that you have 7 or 12, or depending on what system you follow, can have a lot more chakras. But effectively, the energy runs between those chakras, and the coffee will block it flowing freely. So when he told me that, it was actually a really good motivation. And I think, like all these things, it's finding the right motivation, because for me, giving up alcohol, when I flipped my thought process on it, like, alcohol really is poison. It is poisonous for the body. And of course, what it does is it opens all our chakras, but also opens them so negative energies, spirits can come in, depending on where we're drinking. So it's finding the kind of right motivation and obviously the right thought process around what it is that you want to let go of. So when I understood and discovered that coffee blocks your nadis, your energy channels, I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to give that a try. So went through a period of giving up coffee, and now let me think. I think I'm about 5 or 6 weeks into sugar, so I'm not so long into coffee. A couple of weeks, maybe 2. And the thing I've really noticed, this is just to kind of give you the flip side, the good side of it, is the energy in my body is much, much stronger. And when I do chanting, when I do group meditations, when I'm doing different energy work, I can feel the energy flowing through my system and through my body so much more. When I'm listening to activating music, I just get this huge rushes of energy. Now, I've always that's been one of my things, is to have energy rushing through my body, but it's much, much stronger. So going through this process, I can feel that I'm shifting and moving my vibration. And of course, that is exactly what we want to be doing, so we can ascend and stay in these 5D energies. So the last thing I want to talk about is the inner child healing. That's the other thing that I've been doing. Just a sort of very simple synopsis of inner child work. So whenever we grow up, when we're little, often we have a wounded inner child. So what I mean by that is, as our inner child, basically things will happen to our inner child that makes us think that we're not good enough, that there's something wrong with us, and essentially we are wounded. And unless we do the inner child work, that inner child then goes on to run our adult lives. So the way to tell if you need to work on your inner child is, say you have what we would deem a more negative scenario. and you feel hurt, blame, shame, or guilt. Now, if you're feeling those emotions, it's probably because you've been triggered. Now, I always look at any of those emotions as work to be done, because actually, the more we come into wholeness, the more we come in and heal, the less that stuff happens. So, whenever you experience those, what I would call more lower level negative emotions, then it's just a sign and signal that work is to be done there. And actually, there's something that you need to look at and you need to release. So I'm going to give you an example from my own life. I had a lot of, when I was younger, I had a friendship group that essentially, I think in my early 20s, we parted ways, should we say, and I didn't really understand why I'd been ostracized from this friendship group. And I've gone through life, and then recently I had an experience where I felt really triggered by a friend of mine. Now, I'm very blessed that this friend of mine, both of us are conscious. So we were able to talk it through. And I was able to talk it through with my family, with my husband. And I realized that it wasn't her and her behavior. It was just triggering something from my wounded inner child from when I was younger. So I went through a process of my husband just holding space and then enabling me to cry and release that wound. So there's lots of things that you can do to heal your inner child. I would recommend just having a look on YouTube. You can get inner child meditations, where effectively they take you back, they walk you through a process of going back in time into your childhood, remembering old memories, and essentially greeting that inner child, talking to that inner child, loving that inner child, telling that inner child that everything's okay in your adult life, and essentially healing that old wound. Now, I didn't think that I could remember anything of my childhood, and I'm sure many of you listening to this will be the same. A lot of us have wounds or childhoods that we don't remember because they were maybe a bit more traumatic. But I'd like to say persevere. Like, I have found the more I do the meditations, the more I remember. And actually, even on the meditation retreat this weekend, I remembered stuff that I just didn't even, when I remembered it, but I'd completely lost touch with it. So I really recommend that you persevere. If you're somebody that suffers with a lot of, I don't feel good enough, there's something wrong with me, everybody's better than me, those kind of feelings, blame, shame, guilt, that is just a sign and a signal that really you could do with doing some inner child work. So I'd love to hear from you, because I really would love to be at this channel and, these podcasts, we're on the journey together. I'd love to create a community of people who are committed into not only serving other people, doing their Dharma, creating a life in alignment with their soul, but also doing the work that it takes to get into 5D. We are, 5D's there, you're going to have snippets of where you're in that amazing blissful state. But the point is we want to integrate and heal and be whole, so we can be in and stay in that energy and that vibration on a consistent, ongoing basis. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. I know some of you have messaged me on Instagram and on the podcast saying what you're doing at the moment. You've been cleaning up your diets, you've been doing inner child work. So let me know in the comments below what you've been doing, what work you've been doing, anything that's worked for you that you want to share with the audience, any top tips. By all means, I will post a inner child meditation in the comments as well, so you guys can utilize that. Again, don't forget the 5D life audit. That will tell you which areas of your life are not in energetic alignment and which areas you need to get into energetic alignment. And later on this year, I'm going to be launching my Dharma.life Academy program, which is all about how you can create and uncover your purpose and live in alignment with it. And then also my other program is Being 5D. So if you're interested as well, just drop me a message below, PM me, come and follow me on Instagram, Aloise.life. But I just want to say thank you so much for listening. It's beautiful to be on this journey with you. It's going to be an incredible, incredible journey. It already is an incredible journey. Like, what a time to be alive, really. What an amazing time to be alive. And remember, we chose to be here at this time on Earth. Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to. Tag me on Instagram and I will reshare your post, and please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.